Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to address the crisis in Ukraine, Putin's rising aggression and intransigence in the face of increased international opprobrium, and the failure of American leadership that has allowed these recent events to transpire. This is yet another example of Vladimir Putin looking at President Obama's foreign policy and making the calculation that he can do whatever he wants without fear that the White House will react with anything other than empty threats. We've seen this time and time again, so much so that the president's lead from behind policy has not only eroded our influence and credibility around the world, but it has hurt our relations with other countries, and it has shown tyrants like Putin, Assad, Maduro, Kim Jong-un, Khomeini, and the Castros that the U.S. lacks the courage of its convictions. Putin has annexed Crimea, and we would be foolish to think that he will stop there as he seeks to reestablish Russia as more than just a regional power. And the Obama administration has misguidedly dismissed Putin and his provocations as a weakened Russia acting out. This is an astonishingly dangerous view to take, one that could seriously harm our U.S. national security interests if we continue to downplay these threats. In 1994, the United States, along with Ukraine and Russia, signed the Budapest Memorandum. In that agreement, all sides agreed to respect Ukraine's territorial sovereignty if Ukraine returned the nuclear weapons it inherited after the fall of the Soviet Empire. We gave our guarantee to protect Ukraine's borders, a guarantee that we clearly did not keep. And what kind of message is the administration sending to the world again? You can bet that Rouhani and Khomeini are sitting in Iran, and they are paying very close attention, Mr. Speaker. They are making the calculations right now, and they are betting that perhaps they will face no repercussions if they abandon the negotiations and actively and openly pursue nuclear weapons. President Obama's lack of leadership and strength has shown that the umbrella of U.S. security that so many have relied upon is not as wide nor as durable as they once thought. The House and the Senate have acted to pass sanctions legislation against Putin over his actions in Crimea, but it is clear that Putin is not going to be deterred by this. It may be a case of too little, too late, because the administration failed to take decisive action from the get-go, just like it had in Iran and Syria before this, and just like it is now failing to do in Venezuela. While Obama threatens consequences for Putin over his Crimea provocations and fails to act on these words, he hasn't even mustered up the fortitude to even feign strong condemnations for Maduro and his thugs in Venezuela, continue to brutally repress the opposition in Venezuela, the opposition that is calling for reforms and democracy. And, Mr. Speaker, I have here a poster of Maria Corina Machado, a valiant human rights leader in Venezuela, and she's just one of the many victims of Maduro's thuggery. There have been 30 people killed as a result of Maduro's violent attempts to suppress dissent. Opposition leaders like Leopoldo Lopez have been unjustly detained over a month now in a military prison, and Maria Corina Machado has been stripped of her seat in the National Assembly, thus revoking her immunity, her protection, suggesting that Maduro and his goons will soon be coming to take her away to a military prison. Yet again, President Obama chooses to lead from behind. The administration has repeatedly said that we need to work with the Organization of American States to hold Maduro accountable, but that body is even more afraid to call out Maduro than this administration. Mr. Speaker, 5 years of failed foreign policy from this administration is really coming home to roost, and that means dire consequences for the American people, for the people of Venezuela, for the people of Ukraine, and for freedom-seeking people throughout the world. It is time for the administration to take an active role in foreign policy for the sake of American national security and for the sake of the future of democracy. It is time to quit this leading from behind. It is time to restore American leadership, and that is the only way to make the world a safer place. I thank the Speaker for the time, and I yield back.